I'm Grady Collane in the CapeCon.com News Center. I'm joined by a special guest from the Horsley Witten Group. Do you mind just introducing yourself, name, and title for our listeners?
Yeah, hi. My name is Tom Noble. I am a principal with the Horsley Witten Group.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. I really appreciate it.
Sure. It's great to be here.
So we recently heard that you have been, the group has been awarded a $10 million contract from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. I wanted to follow up with you guys, ask a little bit more about what exactly that contract was for and how the response has been being able to be a part of this process.
Yeah, sure. The contract we won is within EPA's Office of Water, and specifically their Water Infrastructure and Cyber Resilience Division. And we've been supporting this division now. This is actually our third time, I believe, winning this contract. So we'll be supporting them here going on 20 years at the end of this contract. And the work involves helping drinking water and wastewater utilities to become more resilient. And that is resilient to all hazards, those caused by natural disasters like hurricanes, as well as what we might call man-made disasters like cybersecurity attacks.
You know, it's very interesting. It's kind of a little strange to think about. We have our old-fashioned Cape Cod, essentially, but we're not immune to the cyber attacks. We've been seeing a few of those impacting even our local transit with the Steamship Authority a long while back, nothing recent, as well as with the Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority, too. Is that something that is just going to be par for the course now, something that we need to be aware of as we're trying to do business in the modern era?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a digital world, it's a connected world, and people rely on technology more and more. And of course, there have been benefits to that, increased productivity, all kinds of good things, but it does also offer an opportunity for someone to try to come in and upset what we're doing with all that technology. So I'm afraid that the cyber threats are here to stay, but on the good side, there are a lot of people thinking of ways to help mitigate against these threats, prevent things from happening. And that's what we try to do with our work in that sector, is just get that information out to the drinking water utilities, wastewater utilities, and help them to get what we would call into a better cybersecurity posture.
All right, sounds good. Do you mind, you already mentioned this is like the third time getting a contract of this nature. Do you mind elaborating a little bit more on how that process looks? Obviously, you're old hands at this point, but are you just going to be spending a couple of years studying? What's the timetable? And when it's done, are you producing like a draft recommendation, or is it something like, what does it look like when it's done? What shape does it take?
Yeah, so the contract covers all kinds of work that the division may wish to do. So it's everything from workshops, webinars, producing guidance documents, products, running exercises for utilities. It's a whole host of services that we support the division on. Some of it can be research related. It depends on the needs of the division, what's happening in the world of hazards at the time. And so that's what we'll be doing for 5 years. And it'll cover everything from resilience to grid power outages, resilience to cybersecurity attacks, and just back to maybe threats people are much more familiar with, like flooding or hurricanes, those kinds of hazards.
Oh, I think after the winter that we've been having, people are quite familiar with the flooding issues as of late, unfortunately. Do you mind as well? So between Hui and you guys here in Sandwich as well, it turns out that we have a lot of locally based Cape Cod data-focused institutions that maybe people aren't familiar. They just think of all the various beachfront property that we have and all kinds of the hospitality industry. How did you join up with the Horsley Witten Group? And was it a little bit of a surprise to find that it was somewhere so scenic otherwise?
So I originally came to the Cape back in the early 90s. Afraid I have to date myself here. And working as an intern on the Massachusetts Military Reservation Installation Restoration Program, which was the cleanup effort taking place on the base at that time, which is still ongoing, but of course it's changed in its form. And that's how I came to the Cape, got interested in water resources, and eventually went from the public sector over to the private, working for the Horsley Witten Group, and then this need came up for resilience and especially hazard mitigation in the post 9/11 world is where this project really started and came out of.
Yeah, it's very interesting. There's been so many kind of like major incidents as of late as well. We had the COVID pandemic. I believe the Horsley Witten Group was actually honored as related for how they were able to function during the COVID pandemic. Can you elaborate a little bit more about like kind of what the organization was doing during that time? Did you guys face some challenges in the data sector essentially, and how have things been since?
Yeah. So yes, we were very fortunate in that we did receive an award from EPA's Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization for outstanding accomplishments by a small business contractor. And really, what EPA appreciated was that during COVID-19, we were still able to keep supporting the agency in all of their projects and endeavors. So we were able to, I know everyone got sick of this word during COVID, pivot from things such as in-person workshops to virtual workshops, you know, learning teams and holding teams conferences and all of those things that we all had to do during COVID in order to keep their projects running and again, trying to keep everyone resilient as much as possible to hazards, even though at this point people couldn't gather and speak. And I think, it makes sense. We're here to help EPA with resiliency. We need to be resilient ourselves.
Yeah, indeed. That is awesome to hear, especially with the ability to pivot. I mean, it is a good hope as well. Horsley Witten Group, you guys are so plugged into data and technology, I'd imagine at this point that I would like to think you guys have a leg up in that regard, hopefully. But I mean, we've heard a lot of people just facing so many challenges during COVID. I wouldn't be surprised to hear the opposite as well.
Well, yes, we definitely faced challenges, and like everyone else, had to come up with our workarounds. And but yes, everyone got more into data and technology, and with the remote working, and so we had to change our practices accordingly.
So as well, we are on Cape Cod, and as of late, one of the big headlining items is the water quality issues that we've been facing. Now, that doesn't really impact the drinking water necessarily. That is, we got high grades when it comes to the water that we drink. It's just the open water bodies or estuaries. They're failing. They have a lot of wastewater related issues as well as stormwater runoff. Is that stuff that you guys, is that covered as well under this, or are you more focused on the drinking water issue? Is that going to be the kind of separation for you all?
Yeah, so really the resilience work is focused on drinking water and wastewater utilities and ensuring that they can operate under adverse conditions. But the firm is involved with stormwater management as well as wastewater management. So those are other areas that we do work in, just not under this particular contract.
You guys have many hats that you're putting on to help out the local community.
Yes.
Does that kind of like do you think that almost is a testament to your kind of the location that you're in? Is just a way that you guys are more involved with you're involved with a lot of water is what I'm gathering, and being on Cape Cod, it makes a lot of sense. Do you think that in the future, as we develop a little bit further and start handling these wastewater systems, that you're going to be sourced more from like local towns and from other agencies that are looking to kind of build up in the wastewater department, or is this going to be just a play it by ear kind of thing for you all?
Absolutely. I think we would like to be part of that discussion and part of the solution to wastewater management here on the Cape, and of course in other places around the country.
All right, awesome. I'm afraid we're about coming up on time, but I wanted to ask a little bit more about the ways that you're kind of going about this process. Once again, what is the timeline? Is this how long does this go for again? It's a multi-year project, I believe.
Yeah, so the contract is for 5 years total.
All right, awesome. And is that about par for the course for this kind of thing, or is that longer, shorter?
Yeah, so a 5-year contract is fairly typical. Some contracts can be longer, some can be extended, but 5 years is a fairly typical contract. Sometimes we've had 7-year contracts, but I think it's all a testament to our ongoing continued support for EPA, that they appreciate that, and that they're willing to continue with our firm is great.
That is awesome. All right, yeah, that's about it. Do you have any more comments you want to add about us? Like your special, your personal comments, your maybe some pride or what have you in being chosen for another few years straight, or anything else you just wanted to highlight for our listeners while we still have you? Places people can learn more if they're interested.
Yeah, sure. Obviously, our website is a great place to learn more about the company and the projects that we're doing. We actually have, work in the Pacific as well as the islands. So we have a lot of interesting things that we're doing. And our website is horsley-witten.com. And I would encourage anyone to go there to find out about what we're doing. Maybe people are potentially interested in working for our firm, and they can find information about that. as well on the website. We are always looking for good people, and of course, it's a multidisciplinary team environment where all skill sets are needed really to help solve these challenges with not only water resource management, but resiliency within our infrastructure as well.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. I really appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, Grady.